This is a lot of 7 specialty collars and leashes for greyhounds. I have researched it, and that's what I found out, that these are for greyhounds. I have 7 of them. I originally had them in 2 separate listings, a listing of 3 and a listing of 4, for $40 each. But I've had them for a very, very long time. So someone was asking about the measurements, so I pulled them out of storage, and I had to measure from here to here, which I hadn't done. And I said, I'll give you a really good deal. So I gave her all of them for $20. She runs a dog rescue center, so I was happy to get rid of them and give them to someone who could use them. So this is a double commercial Panini sandwich grill, and you can see it's got this glass ceramic top, which is pretty fancy. It's also got a glass ceramic top here, which is pretty fancy stuff. The only issue, as you can see, is, and I cleaned this thing like crazy. There's a ring of like caked on grease, and probably sandwich stuff. Now, it was worse than this. It was really bad, and usually I'm really into like cleaning with natural stuff and whatever, but the only thing that would get this stuff off was Easy Off oven cleaner, the fume-free stuff, which actually worked great. So I just sprayed this thing with that stuff like 5 times, and it really got clean. So that was quite an adventure. This is nice. They come down like that onto your sandwich. And I bought these at a thrift store for, this was by itself $35. And I listed it for $600 best offer last night, and it sold for $450 best offer overnight. So it was a good gamble on $35. So now the packing begins. As you can see, I have packing material here. All my packing material. It weighs about 35 pounds on its own. So it's going to be quite a bubble wrapped, double shell, floating, fun time with the packing. But for $450, I'm glad to do it. This is a vintage scrapbook. It's actually filled with cards and stuff. So like, this person was in the 4-H club in Mankato, Minnesota in the 1940s. So there are all these like thank you cards and stuff, and newspaper clippings. A book like this is actually, oddly enough, worth more if it's blank. So I think we had it up for $40, and someone kept writing to us about it, asking us all these questions, and they were like, I'll give you $20. So we were like, fine. So this sold for $20. This is a vintage mid-century modern style mug. I actually bought this for myself, and we used it for years and years. But I felt like it was too small. Like, it didn't hold enough coffee for me. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to put it on eBay. And the cool thing is, you can see there's a signature. And I looked it up, and it's a designer named Judith Heath. Although it looks like it says Health. And her stuff is pretty popular. This has a hairline crack on the inside. You can kind of see it on the left. So I listed this just for $20, which is still a great price for just one mug that has, you know, a crack in it. People sell sets of these for more, because if you have several of them, they're just an awesome set. So $20 for one is fine with me. Another pair of overalls sold. These ones are shorts. And because they're shorts, I priced them higher and they sold for $30. Overalls always sell, especially in the springtime. This is a t-shirt. We were on a t-shirt bender last year, so we bought a bunch of just random t-shirts, weird vintage t-shirts, and this was one of them. It says Jamaica, and it sold for $16. And I love t-shirts because they're easy to ship, and they're easy to store, but we don't buy them very often. This is a heavy-duty Brinks home security brand lockbox. You can see it's just plain inside. It's pretty heavy. I mean, the metal is quite sturdy. I just taped this to that so it wouldn't stick up here, and that the buyer would see it right away. This actually sold on Bonanza for $40. These are a pair of vintage Army field pants. They're cotton. They're very small. Well, small in my opinion, 28 waist. And they sold for $25. This is a 1952 Encyclopedia Britannica World Atlas. It's quite large and heavy. Usually I would ship this media mail, but she said she's using it as the guest book for her daughter's wedding. So I'm assuming they're going to mark off the pages where people came from, which is kind of cool. I like that idea. And this sold for $36.99. This is a hat. It is wool. And the cool thing about it is LL Bean and Harris Tweed and Gore-Tex. So that's a pretty badass hat all together. And it sold for $60. It actually sold during our last podcast, so you do hear a cha-ching in the podcast, and this is what sold, a $60 hat, which is a great sale. This is a vintage 80s members only shirt, not a jacket. It is a 3XL, so it's quite large, and it sold for $36.99. Another pair of overalls sold. This is a pair of Cherokee floral embroidered denim overalls, and these sold for $36.99. I think the spring and summer is when people really buy overalls, so I've sold 3 overalls in the last week or so. Now I'm sure some of you recognize this, maybe from your childhood. This goes on a light fixture on the ceiling. It's definitely mid-century. It's got these little, it's hard to see, but these are like little sparkles almost, like little glass sparkles in there, in gold. And when you hold it up to the light, let's see if I can do this properly. It looks pretty cool. Oh, that's hard to see. I don't want to break it. But I had this up for $59, and I got an offer of $50, and I said yes. So this is a very delicate thing. It's like this glass. You got to be really careful with something like this, so it's going to get packed really well. This is a pair of Birkenstock Berkeys, which is one of their brands. Mostly the Berkeys have faux leather straps, which is cool if you're a vegetarian, but the weird thing is the footbed is leather. So it's not fully faux leather, so I don't really understand the point. Maybe they're cheaper because this leather is cheaper. But anyway, these did sell for $50 in my store overnight. This is a park ranger shirt. It does not have any patches or anything, and it sold for $26.50. This is one of the Quimper, or as we say, Quimper, vases that we got. It's quite beautiful. It's in the shape of a fan. It's a rare piece. However, I have not been selling these fast because I have high prices on them. This I had a price of $300, but I got an offer of $105 this morning, and, you know, we only paid $25 for 27 pieces. So I basically paid $1 for this. So I was happy to get $105 for it. So hopefully that might spur either this person to buy more or other people to put some offers in. So I was happy to get $100 on an early Monday morning. This is an amazing kind of ugly acrylic painting. It's got a lot of marks on it, as you can see. I don't know if someone's going to clean it, but it is signed Ripley 1969. That's pretty much why we bought it. We've had it for a while, and it sold for $36.99. Not a bad sale. This is an antique whiskey flask. It says warranted oval, contents 7 ounces. And usually this is whiskey or gin or something. Probably from the early 1900s, late 1800s. And I took an offer of $15 for this. I do believe I had it up for, I think I might have had it up for 25 or 30. But it was a slow day, so 15 was fine. I've also had this for 3 years. I looked up when I listed it, so I was happy to sell it to someone. When we first got this and listed it, we did not know what it was. We thought it was some kind of horse tack or something for, you know, horseback riding. So I listed it as such, and I wrote in the listing that I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was. And someone wrote to us the other day and said, this is a rifle sling, not, you know, like a horse tack item. So I looked up rifle slings, and indeed, they certainly look like this. And some of the older ones, this one does not look that old, go for a lot of money. Like, if they're from, you know, the early 1900s, 1800s, Civil War era, they can go for hundreds of dollars. But this one just seems like a regular hand-tooled. It's kind of cool. I had listed it originally for $39. And since rifle slings are popular, I brought it up to $50 and it sold last night. So I'm thankful for the eBayer. He was a little bit rude when he was like, I can't believe you're selling this as, you know, horse tack. It's not horse tack, you know. So I was like, thanks. So I switched it and raised the price. So that's always nice when people tell you what the correct item is. This is 2 yards of very, very soft wool fabric. And it sold for $36.99. These are a pair of men's Sebago moccasin boots. They are brand new. They do not have tags or anything, but you can tell by the bottom that they're brand new. I had them up for, I think, either $90 or $100, but I took an offer of $75, which is still a great sale. These are a gorgeous pair of Ann Yee Lou handmade leather Mary Jane wingtip shoes. I have 2 pairs of these. One is black and white, as you can see, and the other pair is like an off-white, kind of like a butter color. The other one is in more rough shape than these, but these have some scuffs here. So they'd be worth a lot more if they didn't have that damage. But these are in nice shape. They have this like glove leather, leather soles. This is actually nice to have, some grip. And they sold for $80, which is a nice price for a pair of shoes. But these are very expensive designer shoes. But as you can see, there's a little bit of rough wear to them. $80 is still a great price. And that's it for this week. See you later.